Good afternoon, everyone. We are sorry for being late. We are very happy to be here today for the general information webinar about the second joint transnational co-funding call of the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. Sorry, some technical issues again. Okay, so here is the agenda. Just briefly, we will start with a welcome from the coordination. Then we will be having an introduction to the second co-funding call. You will have a presentation of the priority areas, especially the scientific content. Then we will share with you some general information, for example, regarding theory of change, open access and fair data, ocean literacy, and also about the monitoring of the projects. Next, we will have a few slides about the call process, the eligibility rules, the selection process, and the evaluation criteria. We will also have a presentation of the submission system, the EPSS, and also the partner tool. And finally, at the end, we will present you the brokerage event that starts today. Just before the introduction by the coordinator, we wanted to share some instruction for this webinar. For your information, this webinar is recorded and it will be available on replay afterward. So please consult the partnership website to get the slides as PDF, and you will also have the link to watch this webinar again if you wish. The audio is only available to speakers, but you will have the possibility to ask questions. There will be several Q&A sessions during the webinar. So please ask your question using the WebEx tool, the chat. Just some rules for using the chat. We ask you to ask questions that are related to the ongoing topic session. If you have any questions which are very specific in relation to your national or regional funding rules, we kindly ask you to consult the Annex B of the code documents. In this annex, you have all the information about the funding rules of all the participating funding organizations participating in this call, and you also have the national and regional contact points. And finally, if you have general questions about this call, you can consult the Joint Call Secretariat using this email address. Thank you. So we will start with a welcome by the coordinator, the Ministry of University and Research. So Margarita, please, you can have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Coraline. Welcome, colleagues of the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, dear community of applicants to the second transnational joint call of the partnership. Formally and super in time launched on the 2nd of February 2024 and presented the day before yesterday at the first partnership symposium in Brussels. Welcome all. My name is Margherita Cappelletto. I work at the Italian Ministry of University and Research as coordinator of the partnership. You might experience some noise. I am in the airport, a little bit tired while super enthusiastic for the 3 days, actually a real sustainable blue economy week spent together with the blue economy community in Brussels. The week is ending today with this important milestone, the presentation to the broader community of the second joint call. What is the partnership? 25, actually very soon 29 among European and non-European countries, member states and associated countries, together with the European Commission, have decided in parallel in the framework using one of the instruments of Horizon Europe to mobilize its resources for up to 450 million euros to support the green and digital transition of the blue economy by delivering solutions through co-funding, joint call for research and innovation, and developing, structuring, and additional activities. You will hear in detail what the partnership does and what it has put in place to in terms of content and technical aspect related to the second joint call you might want to apply. So let me take the opportunity in the few minutes I have to underline what else the partnership does to consolidate our strategy and structure the community. I mean, the day-by-day activities of the Secretariat at first in Rome, but also all the partners of the partnership, including its Brussels office that we are very lucky to have as liaising branch. We are updating our strategic research and innovation agenda by consulting many different actors across disciplines and sectors. One aspect that you have recognized in the call text and also in the previous call text, and that belongs of our to our strategic research and innovation agenda, is the strong emphasis on the sea basins approach. We are also continuously assessing and further developing our intervention areas, which are clustering the objectives of the SRIA into impact-oriented priority areas that then inform the call text. In brief, the digital twin of the ocean is one, the transition and coexistence of blue economy sector is the second, managing sea uses is the third, blue bioresources is the fourth, and I could anticipate that for the next year we will welcome a new intervention area named on resilient coastal communities and businesses. In the next future, this intervention area will be our driver through which we will develop an implementation plan that as operational tool will accompany the strategic research and innovation agenda. We are also about to launch, at least we have proposed and planned 3 additional activities that we value very much as proof of the willingness of country to further align research programs, also through different means, not only in cash contribution. I'm speaking about the alignment of national thematic annual programming, the alignment of national monitoring programs, as well as the sharing of research infrastructure through open calls for transnational access. I can give you a spoiler: if the process goes smoothly as we plan, in February next year, we will launch the first open call for transnational access to research infrastructure, those research infrastructure that the countries have decided to share. We are also about to set up a cluster of projects that will facilitate interaction and joint outputs of coordinators of thematic and regional projects supported through different calls in Horizon Europe and other programs. We are liaising a lot with the European partnership and the mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters to act in synergy. We are keep widening and internationalizing our partnership beyond Europe, and we will follow closely and support present and future co-funded projects to achieve impact. Sorry for the noise. All this is needed to prepare sound call and reach our ambitious targets. And with this word, I leave you in the good hands of the colleagues from Portugal and France and all the others that will intervene, leading the development of the in-cash call and the joint call secretariat. Needless to say, keep following us on our website, bluepartnership.eu, and the social media channels at Blue Economy EU, and by subscribing to our newsletter. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Margarita, for your time. Have a good afternoon in the airport. See you. So next speaker will be Carolina Torres from FRCT, and she will introduce the second co-funding call. Carolina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Coraline. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina Torres. I am the project manager at FRCT from Azores, Portugal. Repeating a little bit of what our colleague Margarita said, the aim of this partnership is to deliver solutions to strengthen EU and international science policy interfaces in marine and maritime related domains of the EU Green Deal, Digital Europe strategies through aligning national, regional, and EU priorities, bringing together science, industry, policy, and civil society. Next slide, please. So what is the background for the second call? We live in a world where we can still feel the impact that COVID has had on the different blue economy sectors. And now even more with the Russian invasion in Ukraine, where we can witness almost on the daily basis the increases in oil and marine diesel prices to trade restrictions and supply chains bottlenecks. That's why that we have a potential to create a climate neutral and sustainable blue economy, to deliver innovation, to create employment, and there is no blue without the green. And this is something that was discussed during this week in symposium, that the blue plays a very important role, and we should always continue to invest and take the potential that exists in our oceans. Next slide, please. So these are the many EU policies and strategies that this second call aims to contribute to: biodiversity strategy for 2030, nature restoration law, farm to fork strategy, circular economy action plan, European ocean observation system, integrated maritime policy, water framework directive, marine strategy framework directive, marine special planning directive, common fisheries policy, European data strategies. And we aim to deliver the European Green Deal, Digital Europe, and be part of the recovery package. This call has a novelty. It is a co-branding call. This call is going to be part of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, which is coordinated by UNESCO, ICO, on behalf of the UN system. What this means, this has the aim that the selected projects to be funded are endorsed as Ocean Decade projects. What this means, that the Ocean Decade will ensure that all the funded projects are endorsed as decade actions forms and be part of a highly visible shared global effort that opens up for opportunities to create new collaborations across disciplines, geographies, and generations, and to establish access to new sources of support. This, as Margarita mentioned, these are the new priority areas for this call. There are 4 priority areas. The first one about planning and managing sea uses at regional level, blue economy sectors, development of marine multi-use infrastructures, blue bioresources, and digital twin of the oceans at regional sub-basin scale. So this call aims to support research and innovation projects for a duration of 36 months, like last year call. Currently, we are 38 participating funding organizations from 26 countries, and combined with the support from the European Union. From these 26 countries, 20 are member states from the European Union, 5 are associate countries, and 1 is a non-EU country. Please consult always regularly the Annex B, as we are constantly updating the Annex B with national rules from each agency. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the budget per country. As I said, please check the Annex B, because this is just the sum up of the national budget. Some countries has more than 1 agency. This is just us to have an overview of what is the available budget per country, but please consult the Annex B, because some countries has more than 3 agencies and with all different budgets. So how this call works? We are 38 agencies, and together with the European Union, we have a total budget estimated of 40 million euros. Can you go? This is like last year. This is a 2-step submission procedure where we have a first phase of a pre-proposal and a full phase, a full proposal phase. We will have only 1 single international evaluation committee with an independent observer, and as we are a co-branding call with IOC, we will have an observer from the decade coordination units. And this will mean that we will have only 1 ranking list, like last year. Even though we have 4 priority areas, we will not have 4 ranking lists. It will be just 1 based on the excellence of the projects, and we will fund the highest ranked projects. This is our call timeline. The call was launched on the 2nd of February, and the deadline for the pre-proposal is 10th of April. You have already less than 2 months to submit the pre-proposal. We are estimating to have the results of these pre-proposals by mid-July, and to invite those who passed to submit the full proposals. The deadline to submit the full proposals are the 6th of November, and we are expecting to have the results of the full proposals by the end, early March 2025. And the selected projects will start from 1st of May to 31st of August of 2025. Please note that it is mandatory to submit a pre-proposal. You cannot just go directly to the full proposal phase. So from my side, this is my presentation. Please always consult the Annex B. We are always updating the Annex B according to the changes in the national regulations. In case of doubts, please contact the national and regional contact points, as each agency, even if they are in the same country, has different rules in order to succeed in the eligibility checks. Thank you so much, and good luck for everyone.
Thanks a lot, Carolina, for this nice presentation of the second call. You will have now some more information about the scientific content of the priority areas. Maurice Héral will present you the different priority areas. Maurice, you can have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Carolina and Coralina. Okay, I'm belonging to ANR, which is a national research agency in France, and pleased to present you the topics about the call, and pleased to see that we have more than 200 participants listening our explanation. Okay, the topic it's about a unified path to climate neutral, 1 point, sustainable and resilient blue economy, 2nd point, and engaging civil society, academia, policy, and industry. It's quite important to see all the words of the title of the call. Next slide, please. And we are working, as Margarita, the coordinator, say, at regional basins. It means that the proposals are strongly encouraged to cover a broad geographic scale, but it's mandatory to have a minimum of 2 European sea basins and to see what could be the impact on the various basins. What are the European sea basins? It's clearly the Baltic, the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, North Sea, and the Atlantic Oceans, even if some proposals can target some more regional seas like Adriatic Seas, Adrian Seas, Arctic, Nordic, and Barents Sea, Celtic Sea, and so on. But you see, it's important to have the 2 European sea basins. Next slide, please. It's a call which is impact driven. It means that in the proposals, the core steering committee, it means that it's all the members which are funding that call and the commission, where want to address that the industry and the stakeholder must be involved in the proposals. And it's impact driven, and we have in annex of that call the impact pathway approach, which is described and that Sylvain will present it later. And function of the topics that you want to address, you can include private partners or different relevant stakeholders like policymakers. And it's a strong recommendation to do it. And of course, when you are working with industry, it can be also self-funded partners. And the modalities of participation of the different stakeholders are, you have to look, as Coraline say, at the national and regional eligibility criteria. Next slide. Okay, we have 4 priority areas in relation with the 4 intervention areas and the SLEA. You can find on the SBEP website all the details about information about the intervention areas. And if you are interested about the strategic research and innovation agenda of SBEP, which is covering and governing all the actual topics and the future topics. Okay, we will have 4 priorities. The first one is about digital twin at the regional local scale of the basin scale. We have the blue economy sectors, development of marine multi-use infrastructures. We have planning and managing CUs at the regional level, mainly known under MSP, and marine spatial planning, and blue economy sectors, development of marine multi-use infrastructures. Next slide. And now we will go in details, priority areas per priority areas. The first one is about digital twin of the oceans. And we don't want to cover all the approach of digital twin at the global ocean, but at the regional sub-basin scale. The objective is to build realistic representations, digital representations of the main process which are governing or which are targeting marine ecosystems. By combining a mechanistic modeling approach and data-driven models or in artificial intelligence applications and to build scenario on the effect of natural process and anthropogenic activities on the marine environment and blue economy activities. It will mainly be focused on the coastal areas, as we previously say, and with different points. The first one is about mapping and understanding the request of the actors which are living in these coastal zones, about policymakers, managers, industry, citizens, to define together joint scenario, and the digital twin will contribute to give to the managers the evolution of the coastal, some foresight about the evolution of coastal ecosystem. Of course, the first step is to see what are the data, existing data collections and representations, analysis of the different available informations, what are the conditions to obtain the data, quality control, quite important, and standard format of data set to improve this and to build and to improve this regional database, identifying and assessing data gaps and quantification uncertainties. And something which is new for this second call, it's about development of new methods, new technologies, new sensors to fill the gaps when you have identified these data gaps. Next slide, please. After, with the data, you can play about ecological modeling and of the key components of the ecosystems, and identify precise connections and complementarity with other digital twin ocean projects, working with the lighthouse of the EU mission, restore our oceans and waters, or some initiative from the Commission, DGRTD, about EDITO or Iliad projects, and also well connected with Copernicus Marine Services. In situ data and marine observations, they can be also available openly through EMONNET, through EDITO Data Lake, and you must establish quite well these connections between this European database and the projects that you want to submit. Avoid duplication with Copernicus Marine Services and other operational services, which could be more regional one. When relevant, connection with a partnership Water for All, which is working about fresh waters, to consider inputs from the watersheds and to be connected to the data sharing tools. Next slide, please. The second priority area is about the blue economy sectors, development of marine multi-use infrastructures. The objective is to boost technological innovations, to cover the entire blue economy sectors in agreement with the green and digital transition. The development of multi-use infrastructures and activities at sea is one of the solutions which is expected to minimize conflict of interest for the demand on space, to increase sustainability, and to go a little bit offshore. The transition of the blue economy could be achieved through different tools, techniques, processes, risk, and with an emphasis on nature-based solutions, with a focus on seaweed, seagrass, shellfish, and low-trophic fish to reduce the carbon footprint. Remediation solutions to alleviate negative impacts, like on marine habitats, on ecosystems, but also for wind farm, for example, about migration routes for birds, about marine mammals, about fishes, and all these interactions of environmental impact will be welcome. Decommissioning options is also part of that call, for the existing or upcoming platforms. Innovations for reducing environmental footprints, development of new materials will be welcome, of course. Second approach about the second priority areas, it's how we can increase the coexistence and multi-use infrastructures, as we will have no more space if we don't care about that. Mechanism to develop sustainable and safe coexistence of several functions and activities, combinations of different infrastructures, and also for their functioning, but also for their logistical approach. Innovation and technological development of multi-use structures, combination with multi-use platforms and regulations for fisheries, for agricultural activities, and also for biodiversity conservation. Integrated models of the environmental conditions and the interactions between the different uses to support decision makers and industry, and to propose options to reduce the different environmental impacts or the different impacts. Development of possible monitoring and control system for real-time management of the multi-use platform. Connections, of course, with the project from the mission, Restore on Ocean Waters and Water for All, but also about biodiversity surplus in relation with conservation or restoration of biodiversity or monitoring biodiversity impacts, to avoid duplication and to be sure to have complementarity actions. Next slide. The third approach, it's about marine spatial planning and managing CUs at the regional level, and is to support science-based international decisions that consider environmental status at the basin level, with the legacy of human impact, climate change trends, the development of blue economy in future scenario, considering the multitude of pressures from the use of marine species and marine resources. To promote a new approach by integrating national or local initiatives or at the regional level, for example, and to connect them at the EU regional sea basins, and also including at the ocean, Atlantic Ocean's basins. It includes that, of course, the different bordering countries of the basins will have to work together. This is done to foster the full use of scientific knowledge for the managers and for the people in charge about nature conservation. By providing essential data for the identification of suitable areas for diverse uses, minimizing the conflicts between the different installations. High resolution mapping of marine underwater morphology and marine uses, quantification of indicators to describe the ecosystems and how the pressures are acting on the ecosystem Earth, and how we can have to minimize the human uses and ecosystem services. Next slide, please. The second part of this third activity priority areas, it's about changing environmental scenarios. It means that the MSP strategy at the regional level must also address a lot the climate change effects, such as level rise impact, like erosions consequences, and all the shifting risk of coastal flooding. It's quite important to see that the scenario has to be designed at for the next 30 or 50 years in relation with IPCC foresight. Biodiversity conservation and restorations, you know, all the discussions and at the national level, at the EU and the international level about marine protected areas to reach the goal to have 30% of the EU waters under marine protections. All marine activities in the regional sea basins will consider the sectoral approach of marine and maritime space management. It needs to include all the problem of fisheries management with the different nurseries, areas, spawning areas, and aquaculture zones, but also all the navigation, sediment removal, offshore wind farms, oil and gas extraction, but also tourism activity, which is quite important in some areas. And the development of sustainable populations dynamics models to support better sustainable management of fish species for recovery is including development of activities on land in these coastal zones to be sure that what will be the impact of the climate change, for example, or river flood, to be estimated and to have a good potential impacts. And co-design and co-development for the co-use of marine spatial planning with the competent authorities at national and regional levels. And we are coming back to the co-decisions, to the co-deployment of projects with the different relevant stakeholders. And of course, all the tools can be used, but focus on space-based remote sensing will be welcome. And also the proposals or development of innovative decision support tools and how can these tools can be available for the future, for the managers of the zone. Thank you. Next. And at the end, we have the blue bioresources. What means blue bioresources? It's mainly fisheries, aquaculture, and biotechnology. And the objective is to develop the sustainability of these sectors and the management of ocean resources to produce environmentally sustainable and high quality resilient seafood and feed. And also for the biotechnology, innovative marine bio-based products. And we are on a way to try to promote some paths to for the transition to sustainable production and utilization of blue bioresources, and to minimize the environmental impact, including carbon emission, decarbonization of the fleets, and aquaculture technology, and also food processing technology, and to keep the or develop the demand of healthy and affordable blue food and feed for all the products. First, about the fisheries, it's mainly to emphasize about sustainability of fisheries and the harvesting, and possible innovative approach to avoid or drastically reduce by catch and discard. We know that it's since years and years, it's always a strong request, but we need to develop this recycling and also develop the new way of fishing with new integrated innovations in fishing gears to develop gears which are less detrimental to causing detrimental effects to the benters, for example, with benthic trawlers. And fishing practice can be new fishing practice can be invented to see how we can increase this sweet technologies, we can say. Development of innovative fishing gears and fishing technologies, and with a focus on small-scale fisheries, and also a focus again on seaweed harvesting as they are capturing the CO2, which is quite important. Development of more selective fishing gears that reduce environmental impact, as I was saying. Development of knowledge of recreational fisheries. In some places, recreational fisheries are so important that we must well identify their activities and their impact. Research on migratory fish stocks that spends, of course, different parts of their life in the different region of the different basins. And it will be the last slide about the aquaculture. About aquaculture, further development and expansion of seaweed and shellfish productions, and including the food safety challenge for the shellfish productions. The reason is because we want to decrease the carbon footprint of the blue bioresources, and to develop algae is one. It could be macroalgae or microalgae, but it could be one of the solutions. Development of biologically, technically, and economically feasible onshore recirculating aquaculture systems, taking care about energy consuming, and development of biorefinery to optimize the recirculation issues. Focus on the refinement, on the development of new innovative solutions or production process in sustainable and integrated aquaculture. And at the end, methods to ensure traceability of aquaculture products along the food chain for the consumers. About blue biotechnology, it's covering all the domains, which is including development of new sustainable bio-based molecules or products for food, feed, chemical, pharmaceutical, medical, cosmetic, and material, all these aspects. And it's more developed in the second core than in the first core. Post-harvest or processing technology for good conservation of marine products, and avoid also 30%, which is not, which is used as no use, in fact, and going in the waste. Digitalization to support traceability of bio-based products from marine sources, as it was mentioned about the same issue in aquaculture. Synergy and complementarity with EU partnerships will be requested, like future foods, animal health and welfare, and also the missions. Thank you very much. And I think that, yeah, now we will be ready to answer to your questions.
Thanks a lot, Maurice, for this explanation about the different priority areas. I think you have several questions, so I leave the floor to Ines to share the question, and if you can answer, Maurice, that would be great. Thank you.
I'll start with the first question. The call text specifies that at least 2 European basins must be targeted. However, proposals that fit into priority 4, blue bioresources, specifically blue biotechnology, might not have a direct impact on these basins. Does this effect have to be extrapolated, or must the impact be direct?
I can give my point of view, and also other colleagues can contribute to the responses. What is mandatory is to work on 2 basins, and it means that to have the development of your project in 2 basins, and you can have some general conclusion for others, but it's not mandatory.
Thank you for this answer. We have a second question.
Yes. Could you tell us whether projects in line with ports and or port logistics are eligible, or in line with which theme of the core? Yeah, that's the second question.
Yeah. About the logistic in relation with hub, of course, they could be eligible if they are in a domain where they will check their impact of their integration with the other marine activities, and it will be in the marine spatial planning approach.
Thank you, Maurice. Next question.
Under the maritime spatial planning focus, there seems to be more of a focus on the ecological dimension of sustainability. Is this true, or is there a focus on ensuring fair use of spatial areas among users?
Sorry, my phone was calling me. Can you repeat?
I repeat. Under the maritime spatial planning focus, there seems to be more of a focus on the ecological dimension of sustainability. Is this true, or is there a focus on ensure fair use of spatial areas among users?
In marine spatial planning, of course, as you say, there is the ecological, the environmental dimension with the focus about biodiversity and interaction between the different uses. But also, if you want to develop economic activities, you need to have the social and the economic components.
Thank you, Maurice. Do we have a last question?
Last question, is there any limitation to freshwater aquaculture? Sea basins start at the mountains.
Sea basins at the mountains?
That's what is written. It's not my opinion.
Now, what is about the aquaculture? Of course, all the marine aquaculture, the coastal aquaculture, the offshore aquaculture is concerned, but also the on-land aquaculture, but marine waters. It means that for nurseries, for hatcheries, which are on land, they could be including. But after, if you are moving to freshwater aquaculture is not including in our course. It will be many more in water for all call, the partnership on freshwater.
Thank you very much, Maurice, for answering this question. You have a last question. Sorry. Next, please.
Should the proposal address somehow all 4 priority areas, or only one area separately can be covered?
Only one area could be enough. It's even in one area you have a lot of activity to develop. Now it's and even when in the context we put different content, different. It could be just to say, for us, it's just to say what could be inside the core. But first, you have sometimes more innovative solutions to propose, and it's not mandatory to address all the point of one priority areas. You could address only 2 or 3 points of one priority area.
Thank you, Maurice. Ines, do you have any more questions? No question. Thank you, Maurice, for answering the question. We will continue the webinar with the next session. And in this session, we will share some general information for you applicants, starting with some general recommendation. So basically, you have to keep in mind when you build your consortium and when you write your proposal that projects are encouraged or should go beyond the state of the art, of course. Your project should be scientifically excellent and also relevant to policies framed under blue economy. And your project must consider ongoing research activities funded by other EU missions, instruments, programs, or projects. Your project should also contribute to cross-cutting teams such as open data policy, capacity building activities, and also ocean literacy activities. Your project should promote the inclusion of young people in the activities and also knowledge transfer. You should integrate as well the gender dimension and promote equal opportunities for participation of women and men in the research consortium. One important point is that if you're selected, you will have to follow the partnership communication guidelines because we have a common visual identity. And the last point of this slide, but not the least, is that your project must comply with EC ethics self-assessment principles and also the EU taxonomy. You must have in mind that if your project does not respect the do not significant harm principle, your project will not be able to be funded under this call. Finally, we are also encouraged to consider geographical balance. We wanted to point out the fact that self-funding participation is allowed under this call. And the last point is more an administrative point, but it's very important because last year we had several questions at the last minute. It's important to have in mind that each participant of your consortium, so that means coordinator, regular partner, self-funded partners, and even subcontractants, must have a participant identification code, PIC, from the EC. So you need to check that as soon as possible. You need to check if you have your PIC number, or if you do not have a PIC number, you can ask the question of your PIC, and you have to do that as soon as possible because it will be requested when you submit your proposal. Next, we will have a session about the theory of change, open access and fair data. And this will be presented by my colleague, Sylvain Pasquier.
Good afternoon to everyone. So my name is Sylvain Pasquier. I'm working at the French National Agency, the ENA. So I will detail actually the recommendations regarding the development of an impact pathway approach in the proposal. So as said by Maurice, the ambition of the Commission and of the core steering committee is to fund impact-driven projects, meaning with significant societal and environmental impact. So the projects must be impact-driven contributions toward the transformation into a blue economy. So for this, it is requested in the proposal to include a plan that describes what impact the research is expected to achieve in the long run. So this is a detailed description of the approach for stakeholder engagement and the expected societal and policy impact of the project. So one way to make such a plan is to establish a methodology of theory of change. So this is the recommendations that we do for your proposal. So theory of change is a description of the research and innovation process, which describe how the project will contribute to societal, economic and environmental change towards impact. So you can see here a graph which describes a theory of change. So this is actually a logical framework that can be used as a tool to describe what impact your project is achieving in the long run. So this is logically linked relations between the outputs of your research activities and towards the outcomes of your project, so the uptake of your research output, and the change actually desired for the stakeholders involved in your project. And the outcomes of your project will lead in the long run in more long-term societal, economic, and environmental change. So what you can consider for the design of your impact pathway using this theory of change, the potential of your R&I project, and beyond the academic work. So as also said by Maurice, it is highly recommended to involve stakeholders. So not only research institutes, but also industry, policy stakeholders, and civil society. So the impact pathway will also describe how relevant stakeholders can be involved in and benefit from the project. So it involves also the uptake of the R&I fundings for decision and policy making. So finally, in the pre-proposal as well as in the full proposal, this plan is requested in the project description on the EPSS platform. So we will describe later this afternoon the submission platform. And all of this is actually described in the Annex A of the call text, which is a theory of change. So I invite you to carefully read this Annex A related to the theory of change. So I will now continue with the data management of the data during the project, following the so-called FAIR principle, as well as the open access of the publications produced during the project. So the SBEP partnership supports transformation of the blue economy, which relies on wide and immediate access to data. So strongly supports the open science principles. So this includes open sharing of research data generated during your projects, in accordance with FAIR principles, which mean findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So for the not only for the generation, but collection, reuse, analysis, validation of your data. Making data available is highly recommending, as long as this is done with a balanced approach toward openness, with the principle as open as possible, as closed as necessary. For instance, there are legitimate reasons to constrain the access to the data. So for this reason, and to support you in the data management process, we request a data management plan throughout the life cycle of the project. So from the pre-proposal stage, you will be asked to produce a data management plan, preliminary plan at the proposal stage, and more extended in the full proposal. So the questions are related to data collection, data production, storage, and so on. As this data management plan will also be updated along the life of the project. For instance, at midterm of the project, will be requested to produce this data management plan. So this data management plan is extensively described in Annex F of the call text. So I invite you to also read carefully this annex. Yeah, this is written here. And finally, the projects funded are also requested to comply with a full and immediate open access principle for scientific publications. So this means using open access journals and publishing platforms for your articles, as well as open access repository. So this is also described more extensively in the guidelines in Annex F. So I invite you to carefully read this annex. If you have any question, please share in the chat, and we'll try to answer.
Ines, do we have any question about theory of change, open access, and fair data?
No, there was a question related to your presentation, Coraline.
Okay.
Partially answered by Claude, but then was a follow-up question. So question about the legal entity, and now a question between the difference between a partner and a legal entity.
I guess for this kind of thing, you really need to check the Annex B of the core documents, because each funding organization funds different type of partners and entity. So I would suggest that you consult this annex if you have any question about the type of partner that you are, to contact the national contact point. I hope this answers your question. Do you have another question?
Not on this. So
okay.
we'll answer.
Yes.
We'll better talk to other questions.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sylvain, for this nice presentation. We hope that this part is clear for you. It's a very important point, but as Sylvain said, you have 2 annexes to check and read, and we hope that it should be easy for you to integrate all these aspects in your proposal. So the next presentation will be done by Thorsten Kiefer, GPI Ocean, and it is about ocean literacy. Thorsten, you have the floor.
Good. Thank you very much. So yes, this is about ocean literacy, and we start off with a bit of a graphical glitch here where the face obscures the text. But so I'm speaking on this because GPI Oceans, of which I'm the director, is leading a work package in the partnership that is called Communication, Outreach, and Ocean Literacy. And this means that ocean literacy is a desire and a wish and an obligation in the partnership. Now, in the second call, ocean literacy actually also appears in a couple of places in the call text as an encouragement to consider including it in your proposal. So I'll explain a little the background and then go also specifically to the proposal. Not to the proposal, to the call text. Ocean literacy is a very broad term. The partnership is on a sustainable blue economy, and therefore we also interpret our angle on ocean literacy a little differently from maybe an environmental organization. So we really focus it on the aspects of the transformation to a blue economy that is sustainable and just and so on. And so that goes through 3 directions. One is to actually, through ocean literacy, promote behavioral change of people. That can include consumers. We can also promote or generate an interest in sustainable marine innovation. That can be through career choices, investment choices, and so on. And ocean literacy can target industry actors rather actively to influence their corporate social responsibility, so that they have a background and an understanding of how and why to design their business in a sustainable way. Yeah, so these are the three pathways, if one could say, of ocean literacy. And the next slide does show opportunities for impact. And one is to indeed just integrate ocean literacy into the funded projects, or you integrate ocean literacy in the proposed projects. And another related element is to integrate citizen science in partnerships, research and innovation activities, or you can also think of a combination of that to build into your project citizen science as an element of ocean literacy, or as a tool of ocean literacy. Good. Now, next slide shows the embedding of ocean literacy. So if you decide that you build in ocean literacy into your project, you're certainly not alone. And if you have an inclination to do so, you probably actually know this. So as I said at the beginning, the partnership has ocean literacy on its agenda. If you go up one level to all of Europe, there is a EU platform coalition, EU for Ocean, that is all about ocean literacy, and a network of organizations and projects that embark on ocean literacy. The mission, the Horizon Europe mission, Ocean and Waters, also has a strong angle on ocean literacy. And then if you go to the global scale, the UN Ocean Decade, as you might know, also has a lot of ocean literacy in its agenda. So meaning, yeah, you're in very good company if you build in ocean literacy. So you're not working in isolation. So you're following an agreement so that ocean literacy is an important element in transformation. Okay, now final slides, very concretely on the call text of the second call. The two places where ocean literacy is specifically mentioned is one in the recommendations for the applicants. So I put in there the number so that you can find it, the number of the heading. You find it in the call text. It says a pre-proposal should contribute to cross-cutting themes, such as, and then ocean literacy activities. And very importantly, this is then picked up among the evaluation criteria and the scoring system. So this point 4.8.3, where it says that the suitability and quality of the measures to maximize expected outcomes and impacts. There includes communication activities as components such as ocean literacy. So meaning that you can earn some points for your proposal in the evaluation by including ocean literacy, and demonstrating this as a way of creating impact. Right, that's a very brief encouragement or offer to include ocean literacy into your proposals if you're inclined to do so. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Thorsten, for this presentation about ocean literacy. Ines, do we have any question about this topic?
No, not on this topic.
Okay, so thank you again, Thorsten. We will move on to the next session, which is about projects monitoring, and it will be presented by Esther Chakan-Campolo. Esther, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Esther Chacón, and I belong to the Spanish State Research Agency, and we are in charge of the monitoring process of the selected projects. During the project's lifetime, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. During the project's lifetime, there will be 3 occasions where there will be some interaction between us, the people in charge of the following, and the selected projects. There will be the kickoff, that will be at the very beginning of the project, and it will take place through a seminar. Then we will have the midterm and the final term. At midterm and final term, seminars to exchange information and discuss with the expert reviewers will be organized, but one of them could be done online. This is something that it is still to be decided. The participation of the coordinators of the projects in these seminars is expected and should be covered by the project's budget. I mean, it is compulsory for all the coordinators to be present at these seminars. The Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership will foster interaction and exchange between projects and with projects funded in other calls and in other partnerships, of course. Regarding the written reports, the reports that you will have to fill in will be based on templates with key performance indicators. So these indicators can help us to get comparable information from one project to others. The monitoring system that we will use will be based in the EPSS platform, and it will be very similar to the submission system, and I think it is quite straightforward. You won't have any problem, and of course, if any problem arises, you can always contact with us. The project coordinators are responsible for the reporting, and of course, they must collect information from the rest of the consortium partners. Regarding the experts who will be in charge of this monitoring of the projects funded, well, there would be a follow-up group of independent reviewers. They will be responsible for the assessment of the project execution, and for making all the process more coherent, most of them will have been already involved in the proposal's evaluation, so they can assess the evolution of the proposal since the idea till the end of the project. These members, the members of this follow-up group, must declare any possible conflict of interest with the selected projects, and we will take care of that, of course. During this monitoring, this follow-up group will be provided with information from our side, and they will compare the initial proposal that it will be provided by us. They will have this initial proposal, and they will have also all the mid-term review in the case the mid-term reporting or the final reporting. The follow-up group members will participate, of course, in the seminar's discussion. So during this seminar, we will have this session for the presentation, and then we will have this roundtable and this interaction between the follow-up group experts and the coordinator of the projects. And some important things that you have to bear in mind. The reporting obligations for all partners of the funded projects at national level are mandatory, and they are different from each national funding institution. So you have to bear in mind that you will have 2 ways of reporting. You will have to report at national level because your funding agency is national, and of course you will have to report to us, to the partnership. And another important thing is that during the project's duration, any changes, any delays, or unexpected circumstances must be informed to the follow-up authority, to us, to the AEI, so we can find the most suitable solution for each situation. And in the next slide, you can see our contact through this email, oceans@aei.gov.es. So we will always be at your disposal in case you need it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Esther, for this full presentation about the project monitoring. Do we have any question, Ines, about this topic?
No questions about monitoring. I see some questions on eligibility, so listen carefully because Coraline will explain the rules now.
Thank you, Ines, and thank you again, Esther, for your nice presentation. So yes, we see that you have lots of questions about eligibility rules. That's the moment to listen very carefully. So there will be a few slides about the call process, the eligibility rules, the evaluation criteria, and the selection process. So you already know that, but it's important to have that in mind. It's a two-stage process. There will be a pre-proposal submission phase, and then invited applicants will be invited to the stage 2 to submit a full proposal. So the pre-proposal submission is a mandatory step. So once your pre-proposal will be submitted, there will be a general eligibility check that will be conducted by the Joint Call Secretariat. And the Joint Call Secretariat will look at the general eligibility checks that we will present just after. And there will be also a check, an eligibility check at the national level. And this eligibility check at national level will be conducted by the national contact point of the different funding organizations relevant to your consortium. After that phase of eligibility check, if your pre-proposal is eligible, is declared eligible, it will go through a scientific evaluation, and the evaluation will be conducted by an international evaluation committee. Each pre-proposal will be evaluated by 3 independent evaluators, and their evaluation will be strictly based on 2 evaluation criteria, which are excellence and impact. We will detail a bit later this criteria. At stage 2, as I said, only invited applicants will be invited to submit a full proposal. Same process, general and national eligibility checks. If your proposal is declared eligible, it will go for scientific evaluation. Again, each full proposal will be evaluated by 3 independent evaluators, but at stage 2, there will be an additional evaluation criterion, which is quality and efficiency of implementation. So regarding the general eligibility criteria, everything is detailed in the call text, so I really invite you to read carefully the call text. But here you have the main point to have in mind that are very important. I saw a few questions about the priority area. Can we address several priority areas in our proposal? So in fact, sorry, my French is coming back. The proposal must address only one priority area, and in the PSS you will be able to only choose one priority area. As Maurice explained earlier, you do not have to address all the sub-themes of these priority areas. About the duration of your project, you have no choice, it's 36 months. About the requested budget, please have in mind, and we will check that. So don't worry, you will see there is an issue. Partners from the same country cannot request more than 60% of the total funding requested by your proposal. So this is very important. Some other information about the submission of your pre-proposal. Your pre-proposal must be, and your proposal, of course, must be written in English. You have no choice, you must submit your proposal, your project using the EPSS that will be explained later. Your project must be complete. It must respect the page limits and the number and type of attachment files. And it's an important point, but you need to remind it every time. Your project, your proposal must be submitted before the deadline. So we kindly ask you not to wait the last minute to submit because you may encounter some technical issues and we will not accept any proposal after the set deadline. Regarding the consortium composition, this is very important and you need to really consider this point, is that each consortium must be composed of eligible partners from at least 3 different countries participating in the call. And these partners, eligible partners, must request financial support from at least 3 different funding organizations participating in the call. So you have the full list of funding organizations and countries participating in this call in the Annex B. So please consult regularly the Annex B and also the updates because it is regularly updated as Carolina explained earlier. Another point is also that the projects must involve at least 2 independent legal entities from 2 different EU member states or within Europe associated countries for this call for proposals. Again, about the consortium composition. Under this call, self-funded partners are allowed. But please keep in mind they are not counted for the minimum requirement of eligible partners and countries. I repeat it again, the minimum requirement of eligible partners and countries is 3. If self-funded partners are allowed in your consortium, there are some rules to respect. They cannot act as a consortium coordinator, and they will also have to demonstrate the willingness to self-fund their activities or show evidence that other partners are willing to fund their activities. Important point at stage 2, self-funding partners will be requested to provide a letter of intent and commitment, and it will have to be submitted onto the EPSS. Now, regarding the consortium coordinator, of course, one entity of your consortium must act as a consortium coordinator. This consortium coordinator must be eligible for funding by one of the funding organizations participating in this call. So same again, consult the Annex B, verify the funding regulation of your funding organization. The consortium coordinator has a responsibility for submitting the pre-proposal and the full proposal. Please note that the PI of an entity can act as consortium coordinator only in one proposal. So here again, we say it all the time, please consult the Annex B, but it's very important and we answer many questions about that. The Joint Call Secretariat cannot answer any question about the national regulation of national funding organization. So you really need to consult the Annex B with the funding regulation and contact the national contact points. So each national regional funding organization, as I said previously, will fund its own national regional partner. So the consortium must comply with all the national regional LGBT rules. So before applying, each and every partner should verify their corresponding national regulation and check their eligibility with a national contact point. It is also the responsibility of the consortium coordinator to verify that all the partners requesting funds have verified their eligibility before submitting the proposal. Maybe I will stop here. And I saw several questions in the chat that I cannot see, but maybe it would be good to have a short break here and maybe answer a few questions if you have any, Ines.
Yes, I have some questions. So first question, is this 100% fund? Are human resources expenses eligible?
You need to check the funding regulation of your funding organization. We cannot answer on this question. It's too specific, so please contact your national contact point.
Checking that still has not answered. Next question. If a proposal is to include 3 countries like Spain, Portugal, and Ireland, should each country partner have to submit the application to access their country's regional fund, or is it the project coordinator host country, and then they have to split the fund between the 3 countries?
So what will happen is that you have 3 partners from 3 different countries that will apply to funds from 3 different funding organizations. Let's say, to make it very simple, what you will have to do is to first check your national regulation to make sure that you do not have to submit a national to submit the project at the national level. This is requested by several funding organizations, so you need to comply with that rule. Regarding the whole project, for all the partners, you will have to submit the proposal on the EPSS, and we will explain to you a bit later how to submit your proposal.
So then I have a question, I think it's more on the EPSS. Is it possible to submit a proposal several times, that is for changes and improvements up to the deadline?
I'm sure my colleague from Estonia will be able to explain that to you, but yes, this is possible. As far as you do not completely submit your proposal, you'll be able to make an update until the end, until the deadline.
Then there are 2 questions about the self-funded partners, so I'll try to merge the questions. What would be the benefit of becoming a self-funded partner? Can we have an example of the requested budget intricacies? And then the other question is, could you explain self-funded partners that can be funded by project partners? Is it about subcontracting? So yeah, maybe a bit more explanation on it.
I'm not sure how to answer that. The benefit for being a self-funding partner is to participate in a huge project with international visibility. I think it's very important. It's also a way potentially to involve stakeholders in your proposal, because not all stakeholders can be funded by all funding organizations. Next, I forgot the other question.
Yes, I think the question was to clarify if the self-funded partners, is it the same thing as a subcontracting?
No, it's different, because it's different. Self-funded partners will have to bring their own budgets. So you are either subcontractant or self-funded partners, but you cannot be both. And please also keep in mind that subcontracting cost depends on the funding rules of the different funding organizations. So you need carefully to check as well the rules about funding subcontractants.
Then there's question, are industrial companies eligible for 100% funding, or is in-kind contributions requested?
It's the same, it depends on the funding organization. So I invite you to contact the national contact point and to read carefully the funding rules that you can find in the Annex B.
Then there is a question. If a proposal is admitted to the second phase, can the person in charge of for the consortium coordinator change between the pre-proposal and full proposal, meaning that the partner coordinating the proposal is the same, but the researcher from the coordinator changes?
Okay, so you have in the call text a paragraph about the changes between pre-proposal and full proposal. you have to keep in mind that basically no change is allowed between a first step and second stage, except in case of force majeure or if requested by a funding organization or by a co-steering committee. So if this happens, you will have to contact the Joint Call Secretariat, and you will have to contact also the national contact point of the funding organization involved in this change. And the decision will be taken by the co-steering committee in the end. But please carefully check the call documents. Everything is detailed about changes between the two steps.
I think that's it. Otherwise, we will answer in the chat as well.
Definitely. I know that my colleague Claude is doing the job. Thank you, Claude. Okay, so we will continue with the evaluation and selection process. So at the first stage, we said that before your pre-proposal will be evaluated by 3 independent evaluators of the International Evaluation Committee based strictly on 2 assessment criteria, excellence and impact. The threshold of each criterion is 3 out of 5. At the end of the evaluation process, the International Evaluation Committee will produce a working list of pre-proposals that will only include the pre-proposals that meet the minimum threshold. So, like I just said, 3 out of 5 for each criterion. At the end, the selection of pre-proposal will be based on the ranking list and on the funding availability. At step 2, your full proposal, again, will be evaluated by 3 independent evaluators of the International Evaluation Committee. This time, the evaluation will be based strictly on the 3 assessment criteria, excellence and impact, as the first step, and there will be this additional criterion, quality and efficiency of implementation. The threshold for all the criterion is 3 out of 5, but we have additional threshold on the final score, which is 10 out of 15. At the end of the evaluation process, again, a ranking list of proposals will be produced by the International Evaluation Committee, including only the proposals that meet the minimum threshold. So 3 out of 5 for each criterion, and the final score, the threshold is 10 out of 5. Regarding the selection decision, the co-steering committee will strictly follow the order of the ranking list produced by the International Evaluation Committee, and we consider the funding availability. At the end of the process, when the selection decision is done by the co-steering committee, official letters will be sent to the consortium coordinators. So here you have a few slides about the different evaluation criteria. It's the same. We invite you to read carefully the call text because it's not detailed here, but you have all the information in the call text. So the first criterion is excellence at stage 1 and stage 2. The evaluators will have to check that your proposal fits to the scope. They will assess whether your proposal has a novelty of research, if your proposal addresses the different knowledge gaps. They will also assess whether the risks have been properly identified and managed. And they will also evaluate the soundness of the proposed methodology. Here underneath, you have a bit of details because we wanted to highlight one point, is the fact that in this part, the evaluators will check whether your proposal comply with the DNSH principle. So you have to keep in mind that if your proposal does not fulfill the ethical requirements of the European Commission, your project will not be funded under this call. And it's the same, if your proposal does not fit the scope of this call, it will not be funded. The second criterion is impact. Again, it will be a criterion at stage 1 and stage 2. In this part, the evaluators will assess the credibility of the pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts, and the likely scale and significance of the contribution to the project. They will also assess the suitability and the quality of the measures to maximize expected outcomes and impacts, as set out in the dissemination and exploitation plan, including the communication activities component of ocean literacy. They will assess the added value of European transnational cooperation and networking. And here you can see that the evaluators will also evaluate the quadruple helix ambition. Behind this term, we mean the stakeholder engagement, the social, industrial impact, and the link between science, politics, industry, and science. So you really have to consider engaging stakeholders in your project. There is also a sub-criterion about geographical coverage of your project. As Maurice explained earlier, your projects must be involved at least in 2 European sea basins and consider the impacts of the vessels on various European sea basins. And the last sub-criterion is about the compliance to EU taxonomy. The last criterion is quality and efficiency of implementation, and it will be evaluated only at stage 2. Under this criterion, the evaluators will assess the quality and the effectiveness of the work plan. They will assess the appropriateness of the effort assigned to work packages and the resources overall. They will also assess whether you have assessed yourself the risks of your project. They will assess the capacity and the role of each participant and the extent to which the consortium brings together the necessary expertise. And they will evaluate the appropriateness of the partners and the justification of the resources to be committed. But here again, please check the call text, because here it's not detailed and you have all the information in the call text. You must really have in mind that the evaluators will strictly follow this evaluation criteria when they evaluate your project. A reminder, we said it many times, I think you know that you can consult the call announcement and also the annexes on the partnership website. So you can find the Annex B and also the Annex D and E presented by Sylvain earlier. You will have some information about the electronic proposal submission system, so I'm not going to say more about that. For questions regarding the call, you can contact the Joint Call Secretariat. But you have to keep in mind that the Joint Call Secretariat can answer only general questions about the call. The Joint Call Secretariat can answer questions about the general eligibility checks, also the different criteria about that. The Joint Call Secretariat cannot answer questions about national funding rules. And also, we cannot answer any question on the scientific content of your proposal. Do you have any question, Ines, about the last part of the presentation?
Yes, so there's a question. If our full proposal should be approved and later one of the minimum 3 country partners participating in the call should unfortunately cancel their participation, that the entire project no longer gets funded.
You need to respect the rules. So the rules is that you need to have 3 eligible partners that request funds from 3 different countries and to 3 different funding organizations participating in the call. You have to keep in mind that this call is co-funded by the European Commission, so we also must strictly follow some rules. And this is one of the rules that we need to respect. So unfortunately, if it happens that between step 1 and step 2 that you lose a partner and that you do not respect the general eligibility criteria anymore, unfortunately, your project will be declared ineligible for funding.
So question, is there a maximum total amount we can apply for, given that the countries on the application can cover it? You have to check the national regulation. Each participating funding organization has its own budget and has its own rules regarding the amount they can provide to the project and to each partner. So there is no limit of budget at the scale of the project, but the limit of budget is actually at the scale of the national funding organization. So again, please consult the Annex B, the funding rules, and contact your national contact point for more information. I think all other questions were answered by Claude and Sylvain on the chat.
Thank you, Sylvain and Claude. If you have any other question, anyway, the Joint Call Secretariat can answer some question about general eligibility, so please do not hesitate to contact us. Okay, so the next presentation is about the submission system and the partner tool. And Catherine Sarr from ETAG will present this part. Catherine, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all for joining us. So first of all, when you start, you need a partner search tool to find your partners, and you can find that also with the EPSS tool. So you can have a look at different partner searches that have already been submitted there. You can search them by country or by priority area or keywords, and have a look at what's already up there. You can also submit your own search by clicking the blue button on the right. Next slide, please. And then you can submit your own search for others to find. So when you already have your partners, and if you plan to be the coordinator for your proposal, then you have to go on the EPSS platform. You can find the link here. First, you need to sign up with the platform if you haven't done already in the previous call. Create your EPSS account, fill in the form, and create the new user account for yourself. Once you have created the account, you can sign in the EPSS anytime. And if you have done that, you can choose the 2024 call, click for applicants, and then you can create the new project proposal. First, you have to insert the acronym for the proposal to create the new project proposal, and then you can select already from the list. Next slide, please. So if you're a coordinator, this is the view you will see. As a coordinator, you can edit and see all parts of the proposal, and only the coordinator will be able to submit the proposal. So the project partners cannot do it. So you as the coordinator have to have the final click as the deadline, so be ready. First, you can insert the general information. You can add and edit or remove participants if necessary. You can fill in your participants' details, of course, brief CV of you as the principal investigator, the budget, and you can also preview this part of the proposal. You can also submit the summary of the project, short description of the project, can add potential experts or exclude any experts that you think are not suitable. And of course, there's a do not do significant harm principle. And here you can also preview the entire proposal and download the proposal budget if you need to. So next slide, please. So you as the project coordinator need to add all the other participants. You can do it here. Just insert their email address, and then you have to let the partners know that you have added them there. So they can go on to the EPSS and click if they approve or reject your proposal invite. The EPSS does not send out the invitation themselves, so you have to notify your partners yourself that you have added them. Next slide, please. So after the coordinators have added you as the partner, you can create your account with the same email that they added you. Here you can see the green approve or the red decline of the proposal you have been invited to. Then you can start adding your participant details, your brief CV of the principal investigator. You can add your budget, and you can also preview the entire proposal, but you cannot edit the entire proposal yourself. And the PI for each partner has to fill out their own information about yourself and your organization. There is no option for a PI to add, for example, a team member or assistant to the application. So you have to fill in the information yourself. And of course, the coordinator then in the end finally submits the proposal on behalf of all the PIs. Next slide, please. So let's have a quick look at the participant details. You have to fill it up all in the system. It can't be uploaded. You need to fill in your own information, your organization information, and also information about your other team members. You also have to fill up the brief CV of the principal investigation. For example, education, positions. You can add up to 5 most important achievements or publications, and or awards or general expertise if you wish to. So next slide, please. Then you can add your own budget. Each partner must comply with the limits of their own funding organization. So before you start filling up the budget table, please have a careful look what kind of limitations are set for you, because each partner has different limitations and they might differ quite a lot. So you can fill up 2 columns. One is the total cost column, and the other one is the funding requested. So if you are planning to do some own financing in some parts of this project, then the total cost column must be higher than the funding requested. So have a careful look at each of the rows and see what kind of limits are set for you. Next slide, please. So for the coordinator, you have the task to fill up the summary of the project. First, you have to choose the priority area, choose the scientific disciplines mobilized in your project, and indicate the sea basins, oceans covered by the project. You can choose all these from a menu. You don't have to write them. But below, you have to write and describe the study areas or countries that are covered by the project. Of course, the summary of itself and also the preliminary data management information. And beware of the character limit in each of these sections. You can see the limit in the heading of the section. So keep that in mind. And so next slide, yes. So about the short project description. Now this one you can upload to the system as a PDF, but be aware there is a 5-page limit. So please don't add any title pages because we cut the pages from the end. And if you exceed any pages from the end, those will be lost and will not be sent to the evaluators. So your project description has to have all the tables, figures, references, and other elements that are important. But please be aware, no links or hyperlinks are allowed, and those will be excluded, no matter how important you think they are. So those will not be forwarded to the evaluators. And all the formatting conditions are listed in the system. So please follow those exactly. And those apply also to the references you will add in the project's description. So 5 pages is the limit. And if you have succeeded in doing all that in the EPS system, you can submit the proposal as many times as you want before the deadline on the 10th of April. Only the last click will count. It is not possible to edit or submit the proposal after the deadline has dropped. So don't be late. And if the proposal is incomplete, you cannot submit it because the system won't allow it. So before submitting it, have a look that you have filled out everything, that nothing is given in red. The system should warn you if something is wrong and something is missing. So don't leave the submitting to the last seconds and then find out that there is some kind of field that is not filled out and you won't be in time to do the click. So be aware that the information you give in the pre-proposal that it's binding. No major changes are allowed after you have submitted the proposal and between the pre-proposal and full proposal stages, unless it is asked by the call secretariats. So this is the short and info about the system. And if you need any technical help with submitting your proposal, there is something wrong or something is not working as it should be, please use this email address and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Just keep in mind that in the last minutes of the deadline, there might be many questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Catherine, for this presentation. Ines, do we have a question about the PSS?
There is one question. Are reference lists included in the 5-page proposal?
Yes. That the references have to fit in the 5 pages.
Thank you. Any other question?
No other question.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot again, Catherine, for this nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
So good news, it's almost the end of this this event, and we will actually present you the brokerage event, which is open now, actually, just a couple of hours ago. So the brokerage event is also a partnering support to help you identify and meet potential partners to build your consortium and have a project to submit to this call. So this is an online event. You will have to use the code-specific B2Match matchmaking platform. So you have the link just here on this slide, and I believe that my colleague will share also the link in the chat. Here you can see the home page of this brokerage event. So basically, what can you do with on the platform? So as I said, is to identify and meet potential partners. So the first thing that you need to do is to go on the platform and to register and create a profile. You will have several questions to answer. And then once your profile is validated by us, the Joint Call Secretariat, you will be able to search for partners and to start to interact with other people that have also registered in the platform. So you will be able to screen the different online profiles, and you'll be able to request meetings. So you'll be able to meet with potential partners online. So you'll be able to meet up to 8 persons at the same time. The event will be for 2 weeks, between the 26th of February until the 8th of March. You have predefined time slots. So basically, there are 5 sessions of 2 hours per week. And the meetings are of maximum of 20 minutes. So please go to the platform and register and try to connect with people if you want to extend your consortium, or if you're looking for partners, or if you're even looking for a project. It's really the place to be to build a consortium and write a nice project with this call. So this is the last slide. Margarita said also these things earlier, but it's important that you remind that here, for any information about this partnership, you're welcome to follow and to check regularly the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. And also you can follow the partnership on the different social media channels. So please do it. So you have the last information about the partnership, funding opportunities, and other events that are organized by the partnership. Again, all the code documents are available on the partnership website. As we said, the documents might be updated, especially the Annex B. So please check regularly the last version of the documents. On this SBEP partnership website, you will also have a link to watch again the webinar. You will also have an access to the PDF of this presentation. It might not be today, but in the next days, you will have all the information that are useful to you. There will be also the information on the partnership website about the brokerage event. And finally, important point, because we know that you're going to be very busy finding partners, writing your project, but please keep in mind the deadline of the submission for the pre-proposal, which is on the 10th of April at 3 p.m. Brussels time, and it will be 3 p.m., not 3 p.m. and 1 minute. So that's it. I think we have finished this webinar. I would like to thank all the speakers of this webinar, and we hope that you have all the information needed to write your project and find partners and build your consortium. As we said several times, of course, we are available to answer your question. National contact points are also available to answer any question you may have prior to the submission of your proposal. So the last word is that we wish you good luck for writing your pre-proposal. That's it. Thank you a lot for assisting to this webinar. Have a good afternoon.